So when it comes to TCPA one-to-one consent, you're going to need to add it to wherever your form has a phone field. In this particular situation, it's on a contact step where I'm collecting contact information after pre-qualifying the lead based on a number of questions. And you'll see here, the compliance text is all inserted here. I'm following the conversion best practices that I highlighted in the presentation. I have a picture of a real person. This is Caitlin actually from LeadCapture.io. And then we also have the incentive text. We're making the checkboxes rather large, and we also have the select all link here. Now, let me show you how to adjust all of this manually and set it all up by hand before we touch on the dynamic consent part. So when it comes to manual setup, there's this section on the left-hand side of our LeadCapture form builder called TCPA one-to-one consent. If we just jump down here and expand this section, you'll see that we have templates. So one of the nice things about what we've built at LeadCapture is that we have these ready-to-go templates for you right out of the box. Now, this is the first version of this feature. In future versions, we're going to have even more templates that A, work for other compliance situations, and B, you could even add your own templates in and save your own template library of consent text. This makes it really easy to ensure that your text is always going to be optimized with the right legally approved language. And you'll see here that we currently have language for a situation where you need to capture consent for multiple companies, and you can easily add each checkbox in. So if you need it one checkbox, you could add that in. You'll see test, this would be company or agent name 2, agent name 3. So you could add 1 or more. You can add 10, you can add 20, you can add as many as you need. We also have a template for single company consent, where let's say maybe you don't want the checkboxes. You just flip on single company consent, and then you can modify the language in there and insert the company name manually. So if you have a situation where you're setting all this up manually, maybe making one landing page or funnel per client or per lead buyer or per company, then you can get all this easily set up with just a few clicks. The other thing to note is that we give you control over the styling of the section. Want it above the button, just click over button. And now this information is appearing above your button. Do you want the font weight much stronger? You can make it more bold, and this is something you could test. What happens if you make the text really dark bold? Does that increase conversion rates? Will people see it more? We give you the flexibility here to control all sections of this. As I mentioned, one of the things I recommend is changing the text box size. Let's say you want it to 35 pixels. Let's see how this looks. I've never tested it. It's much larger. This, I guarantee you, will probably convert higher on mobile because it's so big, and higher on desktop because you can't miss the checkboxes at this point. Here's how most people put it. 5, maybe not that bad. Let's say 10. I do see it that small. 15. Now compare that to 20, to 30. You can see that this obviously will convert higher. It's one of those little things you can play with. If you need it to be vertical, you can even adjust all that. So you have control over a lot of the stuff, making your process of setting up TCPA one-to-one consent super easy, and it will ultimately save you a whole ton of time with managing your LeadCapture workflow and setup, especially if you have to do this repeatedly across a number of different partners, clients, and lead buyers. In fact, once you get this set up once, you can come right up here and click clone and continue cloning these across all of your different funnels. It's really that easy. The next thing to highlight here is that all the stuff we've talked about up to this point where I'm showing you how to set all this up is all about the implementation for how you'll capture the consent. But don't forget, you also need to retain that consent and pass that consent through to whoever is receiving the lead. In most cases, people are sending this information into their CRM or lead distribution tool. Well, we made that process easy as well. And the way you do that is by going down here to TCPA webhooks, and you can set a field name based on whatever the internal field name that you're posting it into your CRM or lead distribution tool is right here. So you'll see if you're using our webhook to post information into a receiving system, and the field name is something like TCPA data or TCPA consent, you would just add that there. If you're sending it to ActiveCampaign, LeadBite, LeadsPedia, etc., you can add all this information in here to make sure that this consent text gets to where it needs to go. Now, in a case where you have multiple companies, it would actually show whether or not consent was provided for each company. So all this is handled for you right out of the box, no having to go and figure all of this out or hire a developer and spend a fortune on having them figure all this out. But wait, there's more here. In addition to all of that, we have our own tagging system where we not only help you get all this set up and post it into the right place, but we also will tag the consent. So if we just jump out of the LeadCapture form builder here, now we're kind of outside of the form, we're looking at the analytics. You'll see a bunch of leads here. All this lead data here that you'll see is just internal lead testing data, so I don't expose PII. But you'll see here that we're capturing IP address, we're capturing all the lead details, including these consent tags. So as consent comes through, we're basically tagging the consent as confirmed or unconfirmed consent. So now let's discuss dynamic consent real quick. If we go right back to the LeadCapture form here, you'll see that all the compliance and consent stuff is set up. Now, let's just imagine that the situation here is that you have a lead distribution tool. Let's say it's LeadBite or LeadProsper or LeadsPedia, and that's where you manage all of your clients and your buyers. And then let's say you want to dynamically insert the buyer name or agent name or client name into a checkbox or even into this section. By receiving a field such as state or zip code. Well, you can do that. And the way you do that here is it's pretty simple. You just come on down here to dynamic consent. You flip the switch, and this gives you the ability to set up dynamic consent with LeadByte, LeadSpeedia, LeadProsper, or even a custom tool. You can define what fields you need to post in, and you can define all of the receiving fields that come back. And there's so much more that I could show you that I won't jump into now. But the short version is that at LeadCapture.io, we've created a way to be able to ping the most common lead distribution systems and receive a payload of information back. We then pull that out. We then extract that information and dynamically put it into the LeadCapture form in pretty much a fraction of a second. And it's all really seamless. Let me show you an example. I just took this and threw it on a page in Lead Pages, but this could also work for Go High Level, Unbounce, Lead Pages, Instapage, WordPress, Webflow, the list goes on. So imagine that you're generating auto loan leads and you need to pull in a buyer or a company name, let's say at least 3 buyers based on the state. So we'll go through this. And then as you'll see here, we have car make model fields. This is all dynamically updated. Now on the next step, you're going to see the buyer names dynamically get inserted below the submit button based on a field value that was sent into the lead distribution tool and returned back into the LeadCapture form. And there it is. So then I submitted that LeadCapture form and all that information was posted back into the system. It was tagged as TCPA consent confirmed. And then we were able to tag each of the company where the checkbox was clicked. And that's all there is to it. Now, your lead capture and compliance situation might be a little bit different. If you would like any help getting all this set up, we're here to help you at LeadCapture.io. Simply just go and submit a demo with us, and I'm happy to walk you through all of this and discuss your specific situation for you to see how we could potentially help you with our solution. So again, if you're interested, go to LeadCapture.io, demo, and just submit a demo or reach out to me. And I'm more than happy to discuss TCPA compliance with you to help you get all set up without any hassles or having to bang your head against the wall like I did for 2 months. That's all. Thank you for your time.